Some men think they know the desert. Marcus Webb thought he was one of them. He learned the truth on his knees in the dirt, wrists bound behind his back with leather cords so tight his fingers had gone numb an hour ago. The sun was setting, painting the Arizona sky the color of old blood, and 8 Apache women stood in a half-moon around him, silent as gravestones. He'd been conscious for maybe 10 minutes, long enough to realize he wasn't dead, long enough to wish he was. The last thing Marcus remembered clearly was his canteen running dry 2 days ago. Then the vertigo. Then his stallion stumbling, throwing him into a wash of red sand that swallowed him whole. After that, just fever dreams and the taste of copper in his mouth. Now this. One of the women, younger than the others, with a knife scar running from her temple to her jaw, said something sharp in their language. Another answered, her voice like stones scraping together. An argument erupted. Hands gestured toward Marcus with what looked like contempt, or maybe hunger. Marcus couldn't tell which was worse. Then the circle parted. The woman who walked through moved like she owned the desert itself. She wore a ceremonial headdress, eagle feathers spreading behind her head in a corona of black and white. And her buckskin dress was decorated with turquoise and silver that caught the dying light. Her face was all sharp angles, high cheekbones, a mouth that looked like it had forgotten how to smile, and eyes so dark they seemed to absorb everything they looked at. She stopped 3 feet in front of Marcus and studied him, the way someone might study a horse at auction, calculating worth, checking for defects. Marcus tried to straighten despite the bindings, tried to meet those eyes with something resembling dignity. The woman noticed. One corner of her mouth twitched, not quite amusement, not quite contempt. Something colder. When she finally spoke, her English was flawless, each word precisely shaped. You were dying when we found you. We gave you water, kept your heart beating. She paused. You're welcome. Marcus's voice came out hoarse, barely recognizable as his own. Interesting way to show hospitality. The ropes seem a bit much. The ropes are necessary. The woman tilted her head slightly, still watching. Men who wake in unfamiliar places do unpredictable things. We prefer certainty. Marcus glanced past her at the other women, all armed, all watching with expressions he couldn't quite read. Where are your men? Something flickered across the woman's face, too fast to name. We don't have men, she said quietly. Not anymore. The words hung in the hot air, strange and impossible. Marcus's mind tried to work through the logistics and came up empty. A tribe of only women. It didn't track. Nothing about this tracked. The woman took a step closer. Close enough that Marcus could see the beadwork on her headdress was intricate, traditional. The kind that took months to create. Close enough to see that her eyes weren't just dark. They were exhausted. She looked like someone who'd stopped sleeping years ago and had just accepted it. My name is Aiyana, she said, and you're going to help us whether you want to or not. Marcus's stomach dropped. Help you with what? Aiyana's expression didn't change, but something in the set of her shoulders suggested she was bracing herself for what came next. You're going to give me a child. The words didn't register at first. They were too absurd. Too disconnected from any reality Marcus understood. He stared at Aiyana, waiting for the punchline, the clarification, anything that would make the sentence make sense. But Aiyana just stood there, watching him process it, her face carved from stone. Behind her, the other women had gone still, waiting. And Marcus realized with creeping, ice-cold horror that she wasn't joking. You're insane, Marcus said. His laugh came out harsh, disbelieving. I'm practical, Aiyana replied. You can't just... Marcus pulled against the ropes. They bit deeper into his wrists, drawing blood. You can't keep a man prisoner and expect him to. This is madness. This is survival. Aiyana's voice remained level, almost bored. My tribe is dying. We have no men. No way to continue our bloodline. You appeared in our territory alone, with no one who will come looking for you. She paused. It's not madness. It's opportunity. The casual way she said it made Marcus's skin crawl. There are towns, Marcus forced out, keeping his voice steady. Trading posts. You could find willing men. You don't need to do this. We do. Aiyana cut him off. We can't go to towns. We can't be seen. Our survival depends on remaining hidden from the world that destroyed us. Something raw flickered behind her eyes. We take what the desert brings us, and it brought you. Marcus's mind raced through options. Reason with her. Convince her this was wrong. But the set of Aiyana's jaw told him reasoning wouldn't work. These women had made their choice before Marcus had even woken up. And if I refuse? Marcus asked. Aiyana's expression didn't change. Then we cut you loose in the desert. 3 days' walk in the direction which you were heading when you collapsed. No water, no horse, no weapons. She let that sink in. You'll be dead before tomorrow's sunset. It wasn't a threat. It was a fact. Delivered with the same flat certainty as someone stating that fire burns. Marcus felt his chest tighten. That's not a choice. No, Aiyana agreed. It's not. The woman with the scarred face said something sharp in their language. Aiyana answered without looking away from Marcus, her tone firm. The scarred woman pressed harder, gesturing at him, clearly arguing. Aiyana's response was short and final. The scarred woman fell silent, but her expression promised this conversation wasn't over. Aiyana turned back to Marcus. Nady thinks we should just take what we need and leave you for the vultures after. She doesn't believe in unnecessary mercy. She crouched down, bringing her eyes level with Marcus's. This close, he could smell sage and smoke on her clothes. Could see the fine lines around Aiyana's eyes. The way her jaw was clenched so tight the muscle jumped. I convinced them to offer you a chance to cooperate, Aiyana said quietly. To be treated with dignity instead of livestock. But my patience has limits. She reached out. Marcus flinched, but Aiyana only brushed dust from his shoulder. The touch was impersonal, clinical. You have until morning to decide, Aiyana said. Cooperate and live as one of us. Refuse and die free in the sand. She stood and walked away, her warriors following. Only 2 remained behind, standing guard. They didn't look at Marcus, didn't speak, just watched the horizon while he sat in the cooling sand, his wrists burning, his mind spinning through impossible options. And somewhere in the camp behind him, he heard the sound of women's voices, low and rhythmic, singing something that sounded like prayer, or prophecy, or both. Night fell like a curtain, and nobody came to untie Marcus. His shoulders had gone from burning to numb, which somehow felt worse. A different kind of pain, the kind that whispered about permanent damage. He could see the camp now, spread out in a natural basin between 2 massive red rock formations that would make it invisible from any distance. 20 structures, maybe 25, made of hide and mesquite wood, arranged in a loose circle around a central fire pit. Efficient, defensible. These women knew what they were doing. Marcus counted them as they moved through camp. 23 total. The youngest looked barely 15, the oldest perhaps 60. All of them moved with purpose. No wasted motion, no idle chatter. They weren't playing at being warriors. They were warriors, the kind forged by necessity rather than choice. Marcus watched them prepare the evening meal, tend to weapons, check water stores. Normal camp activities. Except there was nothing normal about a camp with no men, no children, no sound of anything except women's voices in a language he didn't understand. Where were the families? The next generation? If Aiyana wanted a child so desperately, where were the other children? The answer settled in Marcus's gut like spoiled meat. There were no other children because there were no men to father them. Whatever had happened to this tribe, it had been recent enough that children hadn't grown yet, or catastrophic enough that none had survived. The woman with the scarred face, Nady, approached with a canteen. She didn't ask permission before grabbing his jaw and forcing water past his lips. Half of it spilled down his chin. Nady didn't seem to care. When the canteen was empty, she dropped it in the sand and walked away without a word. "Charming," Marcus muttered. "She lost her husband and both brothers." The voice came from Marcus's left. An older woman emerged from the shadows, moving with the careful precision of someone whose joints protested every step. Her hair was streaked with gray, her face lined with decades of sun and hardship. "You remind her of what she lost," the woman continued in heavily accented English. "She would prefer you dead." "Can't imagine why I'm not winning hearts," Marcus said. The woman lowered herself to the ground with a soft grunt, sitting just outside Marcus's reach. "My name is Chenoa. I am the one who argued against keeping you alive. Appreciate the honesty. Honesty is all we have left." Chenoa studied him with eyes that missed nothing. "You're wondering what happened to our men." Marcus said nothing, but his silence was answer enough. "Raiders came 4 seasons ago," Chenoa continued, her voice flat, stripped of emotion by repetition. "White men who wanted our horses, our supplies, our land. Our men fought them off, but the raiders came back. More men, more guns." She paused. "By the time it ended, every man we had was gone, killed defending us. I'm sorry," Marcus said quietly. "Sorry doesn't bring them back." Chenoa's mouth twitched. "We were left with a choice. Scatter and die slowly, absorbed into settlements that would never accept us, or stay together and find another way to survive. So you decided to kidnap men from the desert. You're the first." Chenoa's eyes glinted with something that might have been amusement. "We've been searching for 3 years. Most men who cross this territory travel in groups or stay on established trails, where we can't risk being seen. You're the first fool stupid enough to ride alone through the deep desert." The words stung because they were true. Marcus had been proud of his ability to navigate alone, to trust himself above all others. That pride had led him here, bound, trapped, facing a choice no man should have to make. "Aiyana could find willing men in any town," Marcus said. "Why this? Why force it?" Chenoa looked at him for a long moment. "Because if we go to towns, we cease to exist. We become their women, their servants, their property. We lose everything our mothers and grandmothers built." She paused. "This way, we survive on our terms. By taking away someone else's terms." "Yes," Chenoa didn't flinch from it. "Desperate women make desperate choices." She stood slowly, joints popping. "Aiyana believes you're different. She thinks she sees something worth keeping." Chenoa started to walk away, then paused. Prove her right or prove her wrong, but decide quickly. She disappeared into the darkness, leaving Marcus alone with 2 silent guards and 1,000 burning questions. In the distance, Aiyana stood near the central fire, her headdress removed, her long black hair catching firelight. She was looking directly at Marcus across the camp. Their eyes met, and Marcus realized that whether he agreed or refused, he was already part of something he didn't fully understand, something that wouldn't let him go easily. The wind picked up, carrying the scent of sage and the sound of women's voices singing in the old language. Marcus closed his eyes and tried to find a way out that didn't end with his bones bleaching in the desert sun. He couldn't find one. Morning came with Aiyana standing over him, blocking the sun. She'd come alone. No guards, no witnesses, just her and the knife she held loosely in one hand. Marcus's heart kicked against his ribs before he realized she was cutting the ropes at his ankles, not his throat. "Stand up," Aiyana said. Marcus's legs screamed when he tried. A knight bound in one position had turned his muscles to iron. He made it halfway before stumbling. Aiyana caught his arm, her grip surprisingly strong, and steadied him without comment. When Marcus's legs finally remembered how to function, Aiyana cut the bindings at his wrists. Blood rushed back into his hands in a wave of needles. Marcus bit back a curse and flexed his fingers, watching circulation return in painful increments. Aiyana watched, waiting. "You're letting me go?" Marcus asked. "I'm giving you a choice." Aiyana gestured toward the eastern edge of camp. "Walk that direction for half a day. You'll hit a trail that supply wagons use. Someone will find you eventually. Or you'll die trying. Either way, you'll be free." Marcus stared at her. This wasn't what he'd expected. "And the other option?" "Stay." Aiyana's dark eyes held his. "Not as a prisoner, as a partner. Give us a chance to show you who we are before you decide we're monsters. Partners don't usually start with kidnapping." "No," Aiyana agreed, "but desperate people start with whatever works." She crossed her arms, the knife still dangling from her fingers. "You want to know why it has to be me who bears the child? Why I can't just pick any woman in camp and let this be someone else's burden?" Marcus nodded slowly. Aiyana was quiet for a moment, her gaze distant. "I'm the last of the chief's bloodline. My mother led this tribe, her mother before her, back 7 generations unbroken. Our people believe that leadership passes through blood, through the women who carry it." She paused. "If I die without a child, the line ends. And without that line, we're not a tribe anymore. We're just survivors waiting to scatter." "That's a heavy crown," Marcus said. "It's the only one I have." Something raw crossed Aiyana's face. "I watched my mother die defending this camp. Watched my aunt fall beside her. I was supposed to die too, but Chenoa dragged me away. Made me run while everyone I loved bought us time with their lives." Aiyana's knuckles whitened around the knife handle. "I don't get to give up. I don't get to choose an easier path. I carry this or I dishonor every person who died keeping me alive." For the first time since waking in this camp, Marcus saw past the warrior queen exterior, saw the woman underneath, barely older than himself, carrying weight that would have crushed most people years ago. She wasn't cruel. She was drowning. "Why me?" Marcus asked. "Specifically, you said I was the first to come through alone, but why not wait for someone better, someone stronger?" "Because I don't have time." Aiyana's voice cracked slightly. "I'm running out of seasons. The tribe is running out of hope. And you." She stopped, seeming to reconsider her words. "Chenoa is right. I'm desperate, but I'm also a good judge of character." She took a step closer, close enough that Marcus could see the exhaustion in her eyes, the way her hands trembled slightly before she forced them still. "I've been watching you since you woke," Aiyana said quietly. "The way you look at us, not with hatred, with confusion, yes, anger, certainly, but also curiosity. You're trying to understand instead of just condemn." She met his eyes. "I need someone who can see past the situation to the people inside it. Someone who won't just submit out of fear, but might choose to stay because he sees value in what we're trying to preserve." Aiyana's voice dropped to almost a whisper. "I think that might be you, but I could be wrong. And if I am, you should leave now before I waste any more hope on an empty prayer." The words hung between them, honest and brutal and more vulnerable than Marcus had expected. This wasn't a captor making demands. This was a woman admitting she was gambling everything on a stranger and terrified she'd lose. Behind them, the camp was waking fully. Women emerged from their shelters, starting the day's work. Nady stood near the fire pit, arms crossed, watching with obvious disapproval. Chenoa sat outside her dwelling, her ancient eyes tracking every movement between Aiyana and Marcus. "One day," Marcus heard himself say, "give me 1 day to see your tribe, to understand what you're protecting. Then I'll decide." Aiyana's shoulders dropped slightly, relief bleeding through her rigid control. "1 day," she agreed. "That's all I ask." Aiyana led Marcus through camp as the sun climbed higher, turning the air thick and shimmering. Women stopped their work to stare, some with open hostility, others with cautious curiosity that reminded Marcus of how people looked at wounded animals, interested, but ready to bolt if it got too close. Nady tracked their movement with barely concealed disgust, her hand never straying far from the knife at her belt. Marcus kept his hands visible, his posture non-threatening, acutely aware that one wrong move could turn this fragile truce into violence. The camp was larger than he'd realized. Beyond the main circle of dwellings, there were storage areas dug into the rock face, a corral holding 7 horses, and a weapons cache that made Marcus's throat tighten. These women weren't just surviving, they were prepared for war. "We hunt," Aiyana said, gesturing to where 3 women were skinning. Cruelty. They were watching their entire world die, 1 generation at a time. Aiyana stood beside him, so close their shoulders almost touched. "Now do you understand?" Marcus watched the mother carry her daughter away, watched the other women return to their work with expressions that carried the weight of watching something precious slip away. "Yeah," he said quietly, "I'm starting to." That evening, Aiyana invited Marcus to eat with the Council of Elders. 6 women sat around a small fire outside Chenoa's dwelling, their faces carved by years and loss. They didn't hide their scrutiny. Every movement Marcus made was catalogued, judged, weighed against whatever standards they'd developed for evaluating the man who might determine their tribe's future. Chenoa passed him dried venison and something that looked like flatbread made from mesquite flour. The food was simple, but well prepared, seasoned with wild herbs that reminded Marcus of his grandmother's cooking. "You saved Kimimela's daughter today," Chenoa said. "Anyone would have," Marcus replied. "Not anyone." The woman to Chenoa's left spoke in heavily accented English. Her hair was pure white, her hands gnarled with age. "Many men would have let the child learn a hard lesson about horses. You risk the animal's hooves without hesitation." Marcus shrugged, uncomfortable with the praise. "I've worked with horses most of my life. It wasn't bravery, just reflex." "Reflex reveals character," Chenoa said. "You can lie with words. Your body tells the truth." They ate in silence for a while. Marcus could feel questions building in the air, unspoken but pressing. Finally, Aiyana broke the quiet. "Tell us about your life before the desert." Marcus chewed slowly, considering. Not much to tell. Worked ranches from Texas to New Mexico. Never stayed anywhere long. Preferred moving to settling. "Why?" Aiyana's question was simple, but the answer wasn't. Marcus stared into the fire, trying to find words for something he'd never fully examined. "Guess I was running from something I couldn't name. Every place started feeling empty after a while, like I was waiting for something that never showed up. And now," Aiyana's voice was soft, "does this place feel empty?" Marcus met her eyes across the fire. "No, it feels the opposite. Too full, too heavy. Like there's more meaning here than I know what to do with." Something passed between them in that moment. Recognition, maybe. 2 people who'd been running from different things suddenly stopped in the same impossible place. One of the elders, the woman with white hair, said something in their language. Her voice carried the weight of prophecy. Chenoa nodded and turned to Marcus. "She says you have sad eyes. The eyes of someone who's been alone too long." "Probably accurate," Marcus admitted. The old woman spoke again, longer this time. The other elders leaned forward, listening with the reverence reserved for wisdom earned through suffering. When she finished, Chenoa translated. She says her husband had eyes like yours before he found her, before he understood that being alone and being free are not the same thing. Chenoa paused. She says you've been mistaking one for the other your whole life. The words hit Marcus harder than he expected. His throat tightened. Aiyana stood abruptly. Walk with me. It wasn't a request. Marcus followed her away from the fire, past the edge of camp to where the desert stretched endless under stars so bright they looked painted on black canvas. The night air was cold after the day's heat, sharp enough to sting his lungs. Aiyana wrapped her arms around herself, and for the first time, she looked small, uncertain. I need you to understand something, she said, not looking at him. What I'm asking of you isn't just about a child. It's about hope. She turned to face him, and in the starlight, Marcus could see tears gathering in her eyes. These women have been watching their world die for 4 years. Every morning they wake up knowing we're one step closer to extinction. They need to believe that tomorrow can be different than today. That's a lot of pressure to put on a stranger, Marcus said. It is, Aiyana's voice cracked. But you're not feeling like a stranger anymore, not to me. The admission caught Marcus off guard. Aiyana's defenses had been impenetrable since the moment he'd woken bound in the sand. Now they were cracking, showing the woman underneath the crown and the burden. I watched everyone I loved die. Aiyana continued, her voice barely above a whisper. I held my mother while she bled out from wounds she took defending me. I burned my aunt's body because there was no one else left to do it. Her hands were shaking now. And every day since then, I've had to be strong, had to be certain, had to convince everyone that I knew what I was doing. A tear tracked down her cheek, catching starlight. But I don't. I'm terrified every moment that I'm going to fail them, that my decisions will be the ones that finally break us. Without thinking, Marcus reached out and took her hand. She stiffened, then relaxed, her fingers curling around his. Her skin was calloused from work, warm despite the cold air. You're not going to fail them, Marcus said. Anyone who fights this hard doesn't know how to quit. Aiyana's eyes searched his face, looking for something. Honesty, maybe. Or hope. And you? She asked. Are you a man who quits? Or are you a man who stays? The question hung between them, enormous and impossible. Marcus knew that whatever he said next would change everything. For her, for the tribe, for himself. He thought about his life before. The endless moving, the emptiness that had driven him deeper and deeper into isolation until he'd nearly died from it. He thought about the little girl in the corral, about Chenoa's tired wisdom, about Nadi's justified hatred, about women who refused to give up, even when the world had taken everything. About Aiyana, standing here in the dark, letting him see her fear because she thought he might be someone worth trusting with it. I don't know yet, Marcus said honestly, but I'm not running tonight. Aiyana's grip tightened on his hand. Then stay tonight, and tomorrow night, and the night after. Stay until you know. 3 days passed. Marcus worked alongside the women, learning their rhythms, their language, the way they'd built a functioning society from the ashes of catastrophe. He mended fences, tended horses, helped hunt pronghorn and desert hare. The work felt good, purposeful in a way his aimless drifting never had. Nadi still watched him with suspicion, but she'd stopped reaching for her knife when he approached. Chenoa nodded approval when he fixed a water filtration system that had been clogged. Even Kimimela's daughter smiled when she saw him now, though she stayed far away from the horses. And Aiyana, she was everywhere and nowhere, simultaneously present and distant. Marcus caught her watching him sometimes, her expression unguarded for just a moment before the Queen's mask returned. They hadn't spoken privately since that night under the stars, but something had shifted between them, an awareness that hummed in the air when they were close. On the fourth morning, a scout approached camp. One of the younger women who'd been monitoring the trade routes came in hard, her horse lathered with sweat. She spoke urgently with Aiyana, gesturing eastward with sharp, agitated movements. Marcus caught enough words to understand. Merchant wagons, heading north, passing close enough to intercept. Aiyana found him near the corral an hour later. Her face was carefully neutral, but her eyes gave her away. "There's a caravan half a day's ride east," she said. "If you leave now, you can reach them before sunset. They'll take you to the nearest settlement. From there, you can go anywhere you want." She paused, and Marcus saw her throat work as she swallowed. "This is your chance. No one will stop you." Marcus looked at her, trying to read past the mask. "You want me to go?" "I want you to choose freely." Aiyana's voice was steady, but her hands betrayed her, fingers twisting together. "If you stay because you're afraid of the desert, or because you think you have no other option, then I've failed. I'll have forced something that should only ever be given willingly. And if I go, then we keep surviving, keep searching, hope the desert brings us someone else before it's too late." Aiyana finally met his eyes. "I won't hate you for choosing yourself. That's not weakness. That's honest." Marcus had never heard anyone with power speak like that, with such raw, undefended honesty. Aiyana could have manipulated him, played on guilt or obligation. Instead, she was handing him freedom and calling it the right thing to do. "I need to think," Marcus said. Aiyana nodded and walked away, her spine straight despite the weight pressing down on her shoulders. Marcus spent the afternoon at the edge of camp, staring at the horizon. East meant escape. East meant returning to the life he'd known. The constant movement, the emptiness that had driven him into the desert in the first place. He'd be free. But what was freedom worth if you had nowhere you wanted to go? He thought about the women in this camp, about how they'd lost everything and refused to surrender, about Chenoa's wisdom and Nadi's fierce protection and Takota's gentle healing, about Kimimela's daughter, the last child who deserved to grow up knowing she wasn't the end of her people's story, about Aiyana, who carried impossible weight and never let it crush her. The sun was setting when Marcus walked to Aiyana's dwelling. She sat outside, her headdress removed, her long black hair unbound and falling past her shoulders. She looked younger without the ceremonial trappings, more vulnerable. She saw him approaching and stood, her body tense, bracing for rejection. Marcus stopped in front of her. "I'm not leaving." Aiyana's breath caught. "You're certain?" "No," Marcus admitted. "I'm terrified. I don't know if I'm strong enough for what you need. Don't know if I'm good enough for what you deserve." He paused. "But I know that running hasn't made me happy. And I know that for the first time in years I feel like I matter. Like what I do actually means something." Aiyana's hand rose slowly, hesitantly, until her fingers touched his face. Her palm was warm against his jaw, her touch gentle in a way that contradicted everything about the warrior queen. This close, Marcus could see the flecks of gold in her dark eyes, the way her lips parted slightly as she looked at him. "You matter," Aiyana whispered, "not because of what you can give us, because of who you are." The space between them disappeared. Marcus wasn't sure who moved first, but suddenly Aiyana's arms were around his neck and his hands found her waist, and they were holding each other like two people who'd been drowning and finally found solid ground. "I choose this," Marcus said against her hair. "I choose you. I choose them. Not because I have to, because I want to." Aiyana pulled back just enough to meet his eyes. Tears tracked down her cheeks, but she was smiling. Actually smiling, open and unguarded and devastatingly beautiful. "Then welcome home, Marcus Webb." But that night, after the camp had settled into sleep, Chenoa came to Marcus where he sat by the dying fire. She lowered herself to the ground beside him, moving with the careful precision of age. "You've made your choice," she said. It wasn't a question. "I have." Chenoa was quiet for a long moment, staring into the embers. "Then you should know what you're choosing. You should know what happened the night the raiders came." Marcus waited. "We were a full tribe then," Chenoa began, her voice distant, seeing things Marcus couldn't. 43 people. Men, women, children. We had been at peace for 2 generations. We thought we were safe. She poked at the fire with a stick, sending sparks spiraling into the darkness. The raiders came at dawn. 20 white men with rifles and hatred. They wanted our horses first, then our supplies, then our land. Chenoa's jaw tightened, then our women. Marcus felt his stomach turn. Our men fought. God, how they fought. Chenoa's eyes glistened. Aiyana's father killed 3 men before they shot him. Her uncle took 5 more, but they kept coming. More guns. More bullets. More hatred than we had ever seen. She turned to look at Marcus, and he saw the full weight of memory in her eyes. Aiyana's mother, our chief. She gathered the women and children. Told us to run while the men held them off. But Aiyana wouldn't leave. She was only 19. Stubborn as desert stone. Chenoa smiled sadly. She grabbed a rifle and fought beside her father. The raiders broke through. Aiyana's mother went down protecting her daughter. Took a bullet meant for Aiyana's heart. Chenoa's voice cracked. I dragged Aiyana away while she screamed, while she fought me, while she begged to go back and die with them. Marcus couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. By the time the sun set, every man we had was dead. 11 women survived, 6 children. Chenoa paused. The children didn't last the winter. Fever took most of them. Hunger took the rest. She stood slowly, bones creaking. So when Aiyana tells you she's carrying the weight of her people, understand what that weight is. Understand what she's seen, what she's survived. Chenoa looked down at Marcus. And understand that if you break her heart after she's let herself hope again, there won't be anywhere in this desert you can hide from me. She walked away, leaving Marcus alone with the dying fire and the terrible knowledge of exactly what these women had endured, and exactly what Aiyana was risking by letting herself trust him. Marcus couldn't sleep that night. Chenoa's words echoed in his head, painting pictures he couldn't unsee. Aiyana at 19, watching her mother die, fighting against Chenoa's grip, wanting to die with her family rather than live without them. He understood now why she carried herself like someone at war. She was, every day, against time, against extinction, against the memory of everything she'd lost. Near midnight, Marcus left his bedroll and walked through the quiet camp. Most of the women were sleeping, but a few sat by their fires, keeping watch. Nady tracked his movement with her eyes, but didn't stop him. He found himself walking toward the eastern edge of camp, where the rock formations created natural alcoves. Something had been nagging at him since his first day here, a question he hadn't been able to articulate. Then he saw it. Carved into the rock face, protected from wind and rain by an overhang. Names. Dozens of them etched into the stone with careful precision. Marcus moved closer, running his fingers over the carved letters. They were Apache names mostly, but some were in English too. And beside each name, a date. His blood ran cold as he realized what he was looking at. This wasn't just a memorial. It was a record. Every person the tribe had lost. The dates beside the men's names were all the same. April 14th, 1871. The day the raiders came, but there were other dates too. Children's names with dates scattered through the following winter, the fever, the hunger. And at the bottom, carved more recently, fresh enough that the stone dust still clung to the letters, 3 more names. Women's names. Marcus's throat tightened as he read the dates. 1 from last summer, 2 from this past spring. The tribe wasn't just failing to grow, it was still shrinking. They took their own lives. Marcus spun around. Aiyana stood in the shadows, her face unreadable. "I should have told you," she said quietly, moving into the moonlight. "But I was afraid if you knew how desperate things were, you'd run." She stood beside him, looking at the names carved in stone. Nadi's wife couldn't bear the grief. She walked into the desert one morning and never came back. Aiyana's finger traced one of the names. These 2 were sisters. They made a pact, said they'd rather die together than watch each other fade away. "Jesus," Marcus breathed. "We're not just running out of time, Marcus. We're running out of reasons to keep fighting." Aiyana's voice was hollow. "Every woman here wakes up wondering if today is the day she gives up too." She turned to face him. "That's why I need a child. Not just for the bloodline, for hope. These women need to see that tomorrow can be different. That there's a reason to wake up besides just survival." Marcus looked at her. Really looked at her. At the exhaustion carved into her face, the weight she carried in her shoulders, the desperate hope she was trying to hide. "How long?" he asked. "How long before you would have been the next name on that wall?" Aiyana's silence was answer enough. "That's why you gave me the choice to leave," Marcus said, understanding dawning. "Because if I stayed only out of fear, only because you forced me, it wouldn't save you. It wouldn't save any of you." "Hope has to be real," Aiyana whispered. "It has to be chosen, or it's just another kind of dying." Marcus reached out and took her hand. "Then let me be real. Let me choose." "You already did," Aiyana said, "this afternoon, when you said you'd stay. But Marcus, you need to understand what you're choosing. This isn't just about giving me a child. It's about becoming part of something that might not survive. It's about carrying weight you never asked for." "I know. Do you?" Aiyana's eyes searched his. "Because once we do this, once we bind ourselves together in front of the tribe, there's no walking away. You'll be Apache. You'll be ours. And if we fall, you fall with us." Marcus thought about the names on the wall, about the women who'd given up, about the little girl in the corral who deserved a future, about Aiyana, who'd survived everything the world could throw at her and was still fighting. "Then we don't fall," Marcus said. "We fight. Together." Aiyana's composure finally cracked. She pulled him close, burying her face against his chest, and Marcus felt her shoulders shake with silent sobs. Years of grief and fear and desperate hope finally finding release. He held her while she cried, while the desert wind sang through the rocks, while the names of the dead looked down on them from the stone. And Marcus made a promise to himself, to Aiyana, to the women sleeping in the camp behind them. He would give them a reason to hope, or he'd die trying. The ceremony happened at dawn, when the desert air was still cool and the sky painted in shades of orange and purple. The entire tribe gathered in a circle, every woman present to witness what they'd fought so hard to make possible. Marcus stood beside Aiyana, both of them dressed in clothes that Dakota had prepared. Traditional Apache wedding garments dyed with patterns that represented continuity, survival, hope. Chenoa performed the ritual, speaking words in the old language that Marcus was beginning to understand. Words about choosing family rather than inheriting it, about the courage required to start again after everything had been lost, about love that survives even when the world tries to kill it. She tied a woven cord around their joined hands, the fiber rough against Marcus's skin, but solid. Real, binding him to this moment and this choice. Aiyana spoke her vows in English so Marcus would understand every word. I accept you as partner, as equal, as the one who will stand with me in rebuilding what was broken, not as property, not as prisoner, as family. Marcus's voice was steady when he responded. I choose this life, these people, this future. Not because I was forced, because I was lost, and you showed me where I belonged. When Chenoa untied the cord, the tribe erupted in ululation, a sound of celebration that echoed off the rock formations surrounding their hidden valley. Women who'd watched Marcus with suspicion now approached with acceptance, touching his shoulder, offering words in their language that he recognized as welcome and blessing. Even Dakota came forward with a smile, pressing a small pouch into his hand. Herbs, she said in accented English, for strength. But it was Nady who shocked everyone. She stepped forward, her scarred face unreadable. For a long moment, she just stared at Marcus, and he braced himself for condemnation. Then she did something no one expected. She pulled the knife from her belt, the one she'd kept her hand on since the day he'd arrived, and offered it to him handle first. This was my husband's, she said in broken English, each word clearly painful. He died protecting friends, or as close to friends as men like them got. Shared whiskey, shared stories, shared silence when words ran dry. Now Clayton sat on his horse at the edge of camp, surrounded by 23 Apache women with weapons drawn, and his eyes locked on Marcus with an expression somewhere between shock and betrayal. Marcus Webb, Clayton said slowly. Well, I'll be damned. Aiyana stood beside Marcus, her hand resting on the knife at her belt. You know this man. We've met, Marcus said carefully. More than met. Clayton's hand stayed clear of his rifle, but his posture screamed tension. We rode together for near 2 years. Thought you were dead, Marcus. Heard you went into the deep desert alone and never came out. I didn't, Marcus said. Not the same man who went in anyway. Clayton's eyes moved between Marcus and Aiyana, cataloging the traditional clothes Marcus wore, the way he stood beside her, the wedding cord still visible on his wrist. What in God's name happened to you? I got lost, Marcus said. They found me, saved my life. Saved you. Clayton's voice carried disbelief. That what we're calling it? His gaze swept the camp, noting the all-female population, the defensive positions, the weapons. I'm tracking raiders, white men who've been hitting settlements, stealing horses and supplies. Trail led me here. Marcus felt Aiyana stiffen beside him. We haven't raided anyone, she said, her English cold and precise. Didn't say you did. Clayton's eyes stayed on Marcus. But I've been following this trail for 3 weeks, and it ends at your camp, which means either you're hiding the men I'm looking for, or you know where they went. We don't harbor raiders, Aiyana said. We avoid all contact with the outside world, except for him. Clayton nodded toward Marcus. Funny how you avoid contact, yet here's a white man wearing Apache wedding clothes. The accusation hung in the air. Marcus could feel the tension ratcheting up. Women shifting their grips on weapons, Nady's scar pulling tight as her face twisted with barely contained violence. One wrong word and this would turn bloody. Clayton, Marcus said carefully, I need you to listen to me. These women aren't raiders, they're survivors, they've been through hell, and they're just trying to live in peace. Peace. Clayton's laugh was harsh. You call kidnapping men peace? Marcus's blood went cold. How did you? I'm a marshal, Marcus. I investigate. I ask questions. Clayton's eyes hardened. Found a trader in Tucson who mentioned rumors. Apache women who take men from the desert. Thought it was just a story until I followed that trail here and found you. Aiyana's hand tightened on her knife. If you're here to take him, you'll have to kill us all first. Don't want to kill anyone, Clayton said. Just want the truth. Did they take you against your will, Marcus? Are you here because you want to be, or because they're forcing you? It was the question Marcus had been asking himself for days. The question that had kept him awake at night, wondering if his choice was real or just Stockholm Syndrome wrapped in desperation. But standing here now, with Aiyana beside him and the tribe at his back, Marcus knew his answer. I'm here because I choose to be, he said. Nobody's forcing me. Nobody's holding me prisoner. That's what they all say, Clayton replied, right before someone finds their bodies in the desert. Look around you, Clayton, Marcus gestured at the camp. You see any bodies? Any prisoners? These women lost everything. Their men, their children, their future. They're not monsters. They're just trying to survive. By taking men from the desert. I was dying when they found me, Marcus said. 3 days without water, my horse dead. I'd have been bones by sunset if they hadn't saved me. And the price for that salvation? Clayton's voice was quiet. Dangerous. What did they make you pay? Marcus met his old friend's eyes. They asked me to stay, to help them build something worth surviving for. That's not a crime, Clayton. That's a chance. Clayton was silent for a long moment, studying Marcus's face, looking for signs of coercion, of fear, of anything that would justify what he came here to do. Whatever he saw, it wasn't what he expected. You really chose this, Clayton said, not a question, a statement. I really chose this. Clayton's hand moved to his rifle, and 23 women tensed in perfect synchronization, but he didn't draw. He just rested his hand there, thinking. The raiders I'm tracking killed 4 men in a settlement south of here, Clayton said finally. Burned their homes, took their horses and supplies, left their families with nothing. He paused. I need to know if they came through here, if you've seen them. Because if you're hiding them, if you're protecting them, then we've got a problem. Aiyana stepped forward. We've seen no raiders. We avoid all outsiders. We have for 4 years. 4 years. Clayton's eyes narrowed. That's specific. That's when our men died, Aiyana said quietly. When white raiders came and killed everyone we loved. We don't harbor raiders, Marshal. We bury them. Something shifted in Clayton's expression, recognition. He'd heard stories. Every lawman in the territory had. Stories about Apache camps destroyed by white vigilantes who couldn't tell the difference between peaceful tribes and hostile ones. When did your men die? He asked. April 14, 1871, Aiyana replied. Clayton's face went pale. Son of a bitch. What? Marcus asked. I know that raid. Clayton's voice was hollow. I investigated it, or tried to. Men who did it claimed self-defense, said the Apache had been raiding settlements. He looked at Aiyana. But there was never any proof. Never any evidence except the word of men with blood on their hands and land deeds in their pockets. Aiyana's eyes glistened. They wanted our land. They took our lives to get it. And the law did nothing, Clayton said. It wasn't a question. He knew how these things went. He'd seen it enough times. The law never does, Aiyana replied. Not for us. Clayton sat on his horse, wrestling with something internal. The Marshal's code said, investigate, verify, enforce. But the man underneath the badge knew sometimes the law failed people. Sometimes the law was the problem. Finally, he dismounted. 23 weapons tracked his movement, but Aiyana held up her hand. The women held their fire, waiting. Clayton walked to Marcus and stopped 3 feet away. You swear to me this is real? He asked quietly. You swear you're here because you want to be, not because you're afraid of what happens if you leave. I swear it, Marcus said. On everything I've got left to swear on. Clayton studied his face for a long moment, then nodded. All right. He turned to Aiyana. I came here following a trail. Trail's cold now. Looks like whoever I was tracking moved on weeks ago. His eyes held meaning. Probably headed east toward the territories. I'll be moving on at first light. Aiyana understood what he was offering. Plausible deniability. An official record that said he'd investigated and found nothing. We appreciate your thoroughness, Marshal, she said carefully. Clayton nodded. Mind if I water my horse before I go? It's been a long ride. Of course. As Clayton led his horse toward the water, Marcus walked beside him. You didn't have to do that, Marcus said quietly. Do what? I investigated, found no evidence of wrongdoing. That's just good police work. Clayton paused. Marcus, you sure about this? Really sure? Because once I ride out of here, I can't come back. Can't help you if things go bad. I'm sure, Marcus said. For the first time in my life, I'm sure. Clayton was quiet for a moment. Then he held out his hand. Then I guess this is goodbye. Marcus shook it. Guess it is. You ever need anything? Clayton said. Leave word at the trading post in Tucson. I'll hear about it eventually. Thank you, Clayton. Don't thank me yet. World's not kind to people who choose different. You and these women, you're going to have to keep hiding, keep running, keep being invisible. Clayton's grip tightened. But for what it's worth, I hope you make it. Hope you build something worth all this trouble. We will, Marcus said, or die trying. Clayton smiled sadly. That's what I'm afraid of. He mounted his horse and rode out at dawn the next morning, leaving behind a report that would say he'd found nothing but abandoned campsites and cold trails. And Marcus stood beside Aiyana, watching him go, understanding that the man he'd been before, the drifter with no ties and no purpose, had just ridden away forever. What was left was something new, something worth protecting, even if it meant staying invisible for the rest of his life. 6 months passed. Autumn turned the desert into shades of gold and rust. The air grew cooler, the nights longer, and in Aiyana's dwelling, something new began to grow. Marcus woke one morning to find her kneeling outside, being sick into the sand. He knew what it meant before she said a word. Dakota confirmed it that afternoon, her examination gentle and thorough. 2 months, maybe 3, she said in her accented English. The child grows strong. The news spread through camp like wildfire. Women who'd been hollow-eyed and weary suddenly stood straighter, smiled more, worked with renewed purpose. It wasn't just Aiyana's child they were celebrating. It was proof. Proof that tomorrow could be different than yesterday. Proof that they'd made the right choice in trusting Marcus. Proof that hope was real. Even Nadi's perpetual scowl softened when she looked at Aiyana's belly. A new generation, Chenoa said one evening, sitting beside Marcus at the fire. The first in 4 years. Do you understand what this means to us? I'm starting to, Marcus replied. No. Chenoa shook her head. You understand intellectually, but you won't truly understand until you hold that child in your arms and realize you've given these women a reason to wake up tomorrow. She was right. Marcus didn't fully understand until 7 months later, when Aiyana's labor began in the pre-dawn darkness and the entire camp gathered outside their dwelling, waiting. The birth was hard, longer than it should have been. Dakota worked with herbs and prayers while Aiyana's screams echoed off the rock formations, and Marcus paced outside, feeling more helpless than he'd ever felt in his life. When the baby's cry finally cut through the desert air, Marcus's knees nearly gave out. Dakota emerged, her face exhausted but radiant. A daughter, she said. Strong lungs, strong spirit. Come meet her. Marcus entered the dwelling on shaking legs. Aiyana lay on the blankets, drenched in sweat, her hair plastered to her face. But she was smiling, actually smiling. with a joy Marcus had never seen in her before. In her arms, wrapped in soft deerskin, was the smallest human being Marcus had ever seen. "Her name is Kiona," Aiyana said softly. "It means brown hills, where the old world meets the new." Marcus knelt beside them, and Aiyana placed the baby in his arms. Kiona's eyes were closed, her face scrunched and red, her tiny fists waving at nothing. She was perfect. "Hello, little one," Marcus whispered. "Welcome to the world." Outside, the tribe had erupted in celebration. Ululation and drumming and singing that would last for 3 days straight. Women who'd been ready to give up were dancing, laughing, living, all because of this tiny, perfect human in his arms. Chenoa's words came back to him. "You've given these women a reason to wake up tomorrow." Now he understood. This wasn't just his daughter. She was proof that the tribe would survive, that the bloodline would continue, that everything they'd endured had been worth it. Over the next months, Marcus watched Kiona grow, watched her first smile, heard her first laugh, held her when she cried in the night. And he watched the tribe transform. Women who'd been silent started singing again. Nady carved toys for Kiona with hands that had only known weapons. Dakota taught the younger women about childbirth and childcare, preparing for the possibility of more children in the future. Most surprisingly, 3 of the younger women approached Aiyana about finding partners of their own. "They want what you have," Aiyana explained to Marcus one evening, nursing Kiona while the desert sunset painted the sky crimson. Not just children, hope, partnership, the possibility of something beyond survival. "How do we help them?" Marcus asked. "Carefully," Aiyana replied. "The same way we helped ourselves. We find men who are lost, men who are looking for purpose, men who can see past the situation to the people inside it." It would take years, but slowly, carefully, the tribe began to rebuild. Marcus helped scout for potential partners, men traveling alone who had that same lost look he'd had, men who might understand what it meant to be given a second chance. Not all of them stayed. Some ran. Some couldn't handle the weight of what was being offered, but some, like the railroad worker who'd lost his family to cholera, like the former soldier who couldn't find peace in settlements, like the rancher's son who'd been running from his father's expectations. Some of them chose to stay. And slowly, the camp began to change. Children's laughter returned. New dwellings were built. The memorial wall of names stopped growing because people stopped giving up. 5 years after Marcus had stumbled into the desert half-dead and desperate, he stood on the edge of camp with Kiona on his shoulders, watching the sun set over the land they'd fought so hard to preserve. Aiyana stood beside him, one hand resting on her belly where their second child grew. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked quietly. "Giving up your old life?" Marcus thought about the question, thought about the man he'd been, aimless, alone, empty. Then he thought about the man he'd become. Father, partner, protector of something bigger than himself. "Not once," he said. "I was dying out there in the desert long before my water ran out. I just didn't know it yet." Kiona tugged on his hair, babbling something in the mixture of English and Apache she'd invented. Below them, the camp bustled with life. Families preparing the evening meal, children playing, warriors training, elders teaching. It wasn't perfect. It would never be perfect. They still had to hide, still had to be careful, still had to protect themselves from a world that didn't understand them. But they were alive. They were growing. They were proof that even when everything is taken from you, you can still choose to build something worth keeping. "Thank you," Aiyana said softly. "For what?" "For being lost in the desert that day. For being stupid enough to cross it alone." She smiled. "For being exactly what we needed when we needed it most." Marcus pulled her close, careful of her belly, mindful of Kiona on his shoulders. "Thank you for finding me," he said, "for seeing something worth saving in a dying man, for giving me a reason to wake up every morning that isn't just survival." As the sun touched the horizon, painting the desert in shades of fire and gold, Marcus understood something fundamental about the life he'd chosen. He'd crossed 100 miles of sand and stone, thinking he was looking for something. Turned out, he'd been looking for this all along. A place to belong, people to protect, a future worth fighting for. The desert had taken everything from him: his direction, his certainty, his old life. But what it had given him in return was worth infinitely more: purpose, family, home. If you've made it this far, drop a comment telling me what you thought of Marcus and Aiyana's journey. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we've got more stories like this coming your way. Stories about people who choose the hard path because it's the right one. Stories about hope surviving even when the world tries to kill it. Stories that remind us that sometimes getting lost is the only way to find where you truly belong. Until next time, keep fighting for what matters. Keep choosing hope. And remember, the desert takes what it wants. But sometimes, what it takes, it gives back transformed.